Consumer Reports just released its latest reliability rankings, and the results completely change how you should shop for an SUV. This isn't about styling, screens, or brand hype. It's about which SUVs actually last, cost the least to own, and hold their value over time. Some luxury, SUVs that look safe on paper fell apart in real ownership. We're counting down the top 8 SUVs based on real-world ownership data. By number 3, you'll see why mechanics choose these for their own families. Subaru Outback. This is the SUV many people choose for their own families. Not because it's exciting, not because it turns heads, but because it delivers year after year. The Outback is not a good-looking vehicle. It never has been. It looks like a wagon that decided to go camping and never came back. Subaru knows it, and owners know it too. But here's the thing. Nobody who owns one actually cares. They care about the fact that it starts every morning and doesn't turn into a project. Consumer Reports shows an owner loyalty rate of 87%. That's not normal. That's people buying the same vehicle again because nothing went wrong the first time. You don't see numbers like that unless a car earns trust over a long period of ownership. A big reason is Subaru's full-time, all-wheel drive. This system is always working, not just when the wheels slip. It costs more to build, and it eats into profit margins, which is why most brands avoid it. Subaru keeps it anyway, and that's why these things feel planted in snow, rain, and terrible road conditions. The engine plays a big role too. It's not fast, and it's not trying to be. Subaru built it to live an AGA, easy life. Most of the time, it's only working at a fraction of its capability, which means less stress, less heat, and less wear. That's how engines survive high mileage without drama. One thing people don't talk about enough is visibility. The Outback has thin pillars, a massive windshield, and very few blind spots. You can actually see where you're going without relying on cameras and sensors. Mazda CX-50. This is one of those SUVs dealerships don't really want to sell you. Not because it's bad, but because it's almost too good for its own good. This vehicle was nearly canceled. More than once during development, Mazda's own accountants kept saying it cost too much to build it this well. Engineers kept pushing back, overbuilding parts that most brands would cheap or out on, and somehow it made it to production anyway. The suspension is rated for way more weight than the CX-50 will ever see. The engine mounts are reinforced when competitors use lighter designs, and the transmission is an old-school, 6-speed automatic that Mazda has been refining for years. It's not flashy, but it's proven, and it was tested far beyond what most manufacturers bother with. That's a big reason owner reported problems come in about 73% lower than the segment average. Here's where things get awkward at the dealership. Mazda doesn't cut corners on parts, and that shrinks profit margins. So salespeople tend to steer buyers towards something else. They'll call the CX-50 underpowered or say it's too simple. But the reality is that simple is exactly why it holds up so well. That 6-speed automatic is a big part of it. While other brands chase complicated gearboxes and software-heavy systems, Mazda stuck with something durable. Pair that with fewer screens and fewer electronic gimmicks, and you end up with very low electrical and failure rates over time. Owners notice that stuff when the warranty is long gone. The interior punches way above its price too. Real materials, solid controls, and a layout that feels built to last instead of impress you for 5 minutes on a test drive. Toyota Highlander Hybrid. This is where Toyota proves that boring can be a superpower. Toyota didn't try to reinvent anything here. They took a hybrid system that's been around for about 15 years and just kept refining it instead of chasing new ideas. Same basic design, same philosophy, just quietly improved year after year. That's not exciting, but it's exactly why this thing is so reliable. What makes it almost absurd is the math. This is a 3-row SUV that can haul a family, groceries, and luggage, and it still manages around 36 miles per gallon combined. That kind of efficiency in a vehicle this size feels wrong, but Toyota figured it out by sticking with proven hardware instead of complicated tricks. The hybrid costs more up front, and dealers love to use that against it. They'll nudge buyers toward the gas version and say, "You'll never make the money back." What they don't explain is that over 5 years, Total cost of ownership favors the hybrid by about $4,200. Between fuel, savings, lower maintenance, and better resale value, the numbers quietly flip in the hybrid's favor. Battery fear comes up a lot with hybrids, but this is where Toyota's boring approach really pays off. These batteries last. Real-world data shows survival rates that most brands can't touch, and when it's time to sell, the hybrid holds its value far better than the regular Highlander. Buyers know what these systems are capable of now, and they're willing to pay for that confidence. One thing to watch out for is how these are sold. It's common for dealers to advertise a Highlander hybrid just to get you in the door. Then suddenly it's unavailable and a gas model appears instead. Demand is high, supply is tight, and not every dealer plays it straight. Lexus NX Hybrid. This is one of those vehicles that flies completely under the radar because it doesn't try to impress anyone on a test drive. It doesn't look aggressive, it doesn't chase huge screens, and it doesn't pretend to be sporty. Lexus built it to be calm, quiet, and extremely hard to wear out. Underneath, it uses Toyota's hybrid system that's been refined for years. Not the newest version, not the flashiest, just the one that's proven itself in real ownership. The result is excellent fuel economy in the real world and reliability numbers that stay high long after the Stongator warranty is gone. These hybrids rarely show up in repair bays for anything serious. Ownership costs are where it really separates itself. Maintenance is low, fuel savings add up quickly, and resale value stays strong because buyers trust the Lexus name when it's backed by proven hybrid tech. Insurance costs tend to be reasonable too, since it's more about safety and predictability than performance. The interior feels upscale without being fragile. The materials hold up, the seats stay comfortable over long drives, and the cabin stays quiet even as miles pile on. It's the kind of SUV that still feels solid at 100,000 miles instead of starting to feel tired. Dealers don't push this one very hard because it doesn't create drama or big service bills. It just does its job quietly in the background. And for buyers who care more about long-term ownership than showing off, that's exactly why it deserves a spot on this list. Toyota RAV4 Prime. This vehicle really shouldn't exist in the form that it does. It makes over 300,007 horsepower, runs 0 to 60 like a performance car, and still delivers electric efficiency that most people associate with a full electric vehicle. When you drive it on battery power, it feels smooth and quiet like an electric vehicle. And when you need to go farther, the gas engine steps in without changing how you drive. It's the bridge between gas and electric that actually works in real life. Consumer Reports gave it a reliability score of 94, the highest they've handed out to an SUV in years. That's the part that shocked everyone. Plug-in hybrids are usually more complex and less reliable than regular hybrids. Toyota somehow pulled off the opposite by over-engineering the Poxin system instead of chasing shortcuts. For day-to-day driving, the numbers make sense fast. Many owners run almost entirely on electric power during the week, then take long trips without thinking about charging. Fuel. Savings add up quickly, and when you factor in tax credits, the effective price drops closer to what a regular compact SUV costs. Add strong resale value on top of that, and the long-term math gets hard to ignore. Dealers have never really been in control of this one. Honda CR-V Hybrid. This is where the list starts to make a lot of sense if you've ever worked on cars for a living. This hybrid is built backwards compared to most others, and that's exactly why it lasts. Instead of the engine doing most of the work with electric help on the side, the electric motors handle everyday driving, and the engine steps in only when it makes sense. That means less stress, fewer moving parts, working hard, and a system that ages much more gracefully. In real driving, it's smooth, quiet, and surprisingly efficient. Around 40 miles per gallon in a vehicle this size without asking for much in return. Oil changes are simple, brake wear is low, and there's very little regular maintenance compared to a traditional gas SUV. That's a big reason mechanics trust it. Less complexity where it matters means fewer surprises later. The interior catches some people off guard. There are hard plastics everywhere, and it doesn't feel fancy at first touch. That's not Honda being cheap. It's Honda choosing materials that don't crack, peel, or melt after years of heat and sun. These cabins don't look worn at high mileage, And that matters more than first impressions. Resale value tells the rest of the story. The hybrid version holds its value about 19% better than the gas model. Buyers know what they're getting, and they're willing to pay for it. Add in Honda's long hybrid warranty and the confidence that comes with proven battery longevity, and it becomes clear why people who fix cars for a living choose this one for their own driveways. Mazda CX-90. This is the SUV that made German luxury brands start paying attention. Mazda went in a completely different direction here. Instead of chasing flash, they focused on how the vehicle actually feels day to day. The inline six with a mild hybrid delivers power smoothly, effortlessly. The kind of feel people expect from much more expensive SUVs. What caught everyone off guard was the reliability right out of the gate. First-year models usually have issues, but the CX-90 came in strong. That tells you Mazda didn't rush this one. They built it carefully and kept the complicated stuff to a minimum. It can tow up to 5,600 pounds without feeling strained, which is impressive for something that still rides comfortably. Inside it feels upscale and solid, not delicate or over-designed. The materials hold up, the cabin stays quiet, and it doesn't feel like it's trying too hard. The real win is value. You get a luxury-level experience without the brutal depreciation that comes with German badges. Dealers know it too, which is why some of them have been adding markups while demand stays high. Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. And that's because Toyota didn't try to get fancy with it. The hybrid system has been around long enough that all the rough edges are gone. It just works, and it keeps working year after year. Fuel economy stays strong without asking you to plug in or change how way you drive. Maintenance is minimal, insurance costs stay reasonable, and reliability scores remain near the top. It's the kind of SUV people buy once and then keep for a long time. Resale value is a big part of why it belongs at number one. Used RAV4 hybrids don't sit on lots, and that tells you everything you need to know. Buyers trust them, and that trust holds value. Dealers sell a lot of these, but they still try to move people into pricier options with bigger margins. The irony is that the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid often ends up being the smartest long-term purchase in the entire showroom. It doesn't try to impress, it just checks every box that actually matters. And that's exactly why it deserves the top spot for 2025. When you step back and look at these SUVs through the lens of long-term ownership, a very clear pattern shows up. The vehicles that rise to the top aren't the ones with the biggest screens or the flashiest designs. They're the ones with unusually high owner loyalty. People keep them, rely on them, and often come back years later to buy the same model again. That kind of loyalty doesn't come from marketing. It comes from years of problem-free ownership. That loyalty also explains something that confuses a lot of buyers. These SUVs aren't always the ones dealerships push the hardest. Vehicles that break less, hold their value, and don't need constant service visits simply don't generate as much ongoing profit. Dealerships make more money on frequent trade-ins, extended warranties, and service work. That doesn't mean every salesperson is trying to mislead you, but it does mean the system rewards turnover more than long-term satisfaction. What really matters is what happens after the excitement of the purchase wears off. When the payments are still there, when the warranty is over, and when the miles start adding up, that's when reliability, resale value, and low ownership costs become the difference between a good experience and a frustrating one. Those are the things that quietly save money and reduce stress over the years. The financial takeaway is simple and worth remembering. The smartest SUV isn't the flashiest one on the lot. It's the one you never feel the need to replace.